at a time. Yeah, this is tea time. Yeah, making a difference. One cup at a time. Tea time. So be sure to grab your tea, grab a seat, and tune in to Miss Liz. Tea time. Making a difference. One cup at a time. Tea time, yeah. Tea time.
Welcome, everybody, and it is tea time with Miss Liz. That's right, we're back here this afternoon. It's already afternoon. I was just here a couple hours ago, and I'm back again. So now I have Nancy Schwartz in the back, and she's the founder, coach, consultant, and mentor. She is an incredible lady, and we've been connecting for a couple of months, so we're really both excited for today's tea time. We're going to serve you a really good, strong cup of tea on Envision Healthy Retirement. That's right. We're going to start talking about good stuff. We're going to bring some education to the table this afternoon. So if you would like some tools and tips and all of that good stuff, grab your paper, pen, grab your tea, your coffee, whatever you would choose to drink. You do not have to drink tea on Tea Time with Miss Liz. So let's get started, and let's bring in Nancy in just a second. So the disclaimer for Miss Liz's Tea Time live show. Miss Liz, myself, is going live using StreamYard. Before leaving a comment, please grant StreamYard permission to see your name at StreamYard.com. Please be advised that the content brought forward for any Tea Time show hosted by myself, Miss Liz, is always brought forward in good faith. However, may bring forward dialogues and opinions that are not representative of my platform. The facts and information are perceived to be accurate at the given time of airing. All Tea Time guests and audience participants are responsible for using their good judgment in taking any action that may relate to the discussion. The content brought forward may include discussions for some where they may be emotionally at risk. It is significant to note that this show is engaging in discussion forums only to offer and inspire awareness and connection, and is not providing therapeutical advice. If you have any questions about the disclaimer or the panelist discussion, you may freely contact me, Miss Liz, through my email at bookingmissliz@gmail.com. Moving forward, should you choose to voluntarily participate in today's show in any aspect, I myself, Miss Liz, welcomes you. And should you decide that the show is not made for you at this time, I respect your wishes and will see you at a later show at a later date and time. And again, all Tea Time shows are hosted on Thursday this year in 2023, unless they are a rescheduled Tea Time. Then they will be hosted on a Monday or Tuesday, because life does happen, right? So now let me give you a little bit on Nancy. Who is Nancy? Nancy Schwartz is the founder and principal of Envision Healthy Retirement. She spent her career in corporate leadership roles, founded the successful retained search company, SearchExecution, and was previously client partner at Korn Ferry. In those roles, Nancy worked across a variety of industries in markets ranging from global multinationals to early stage private equality and venture capital. There goes my tongue again. I'm going to take a sip in just a second. I'm going to get Nancy in here. Her innovation and solution-oriented approach to solving complex issues earned her high praise and reconciliation. So I'm going to get her in here, and I didn't say that word right, the last word. So I'm going to get her to say it for me, and I'm going to sip on my tea because my tongue is just doing that twisty thing again. So let me get Nancy in here. Welcome, Nancy.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me today. And I'm so excited that we're finally face to face after these past couple of months of scheduling. So can't wait to start our discussion together.
Well, and it has been a couple of months because I think we booked back in February, if I remember right.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a couple of months, right? So what
Yes.
has happened since then?
Well, the world keeps going around, that's for sure. Definitely. Yeah.
So Nancy, let's get into who Nancy is. So let's start off with Nancy as a little girl and then Nancy as you are today. So what got you into what you got into? But let's start off with the little girl first.
You want me to tell you a little bit about my background in terms of...
a little bit about your background, a little bit of your little childhood and playful little girl.
Yeah, so, I was born in Delaware. I was a DuPont baby. And then my dad was recruited by ITT and we moved to Connecticut. And from there, he transferred to CBS. And so that was kind of fun. And that was bought out by Thomson Labs from France. So I was an only child. I had a mother that was incredibly athletic, and I'm so blessed for that. And she also was extremely interested in everything, just like my dad. My dad was an engineer and quite accomplished, administrator as well as a leader in companies, and really had the ability to just fix anything. He was just an amazing individual and well thought of within the community. But as an only child, I was considered an adult, moment one. So I was put out to pasture to play by myself, to entertain myself, and really enjoyed sitting on the stair. We had staircases in our house, listening to my parents talk to their different guests. And usually it was all about business or the arts or something, adult. But I was just fascinated. And then my mother would catch my eye and go, you got to go to bed. So
the corner of the eye mom look, right? That's what are you doing?
I was like, oh, darn, I'm going to miss the best part. So, but anyway, so I felt very, very fortunate that she allowed that. And, it spiked my curiosity in a lot of things. My dad worked with multinationals, and of course the companies were, global companies. So that was just beautiful inclusion of so many different types of people. And I just love that. And my dad was really allergic to anything athletic. My mother, though, embraced that and was quite a wicked equestrian, and also anything with a racket. Anything, a boy or girl, she could beat down. She was incredibly competitive. And my dad was competitive, but not in an outwardly way, I would say, but both very high top performers, both very integrated in the community, volunteered. So very early on, I was shown, very specifically, we give back. We don't have free time. We're not going to sit around.
Yeah.
And in fact, the joke in the house growing up was, my God, they would talk to my dad. His name was Tom. Tom, you work for CBS. What's the matter with you? You don't have a television. I mean, this is back in the dark ages. And he's like, no. So I was only allowed one TV show, like a week, some kids program that was on. So really a doing family, right? Doing in the community. And school was a big deal in terms of learning as much as you could, and really pursuing interest and curiosity and many, many different things. So yeah, I was very, very lucky to somehow land in that family. Yeah.
And that's why I always ask my guests, right? Where they come from, the background, because the background has a story of what brings us in the present and what brings us to the future, right? We either change it or we go in a different direction. So knowing you as a little girl to who you are as a grown woman gives me that direction, that this is where you got the leadership skills from. This is where you got the pursuing and asking questions, getting educated. You know, our past is not always a heavy, dark story. It's also good stories. It's good upbringing. It's good lessons and blessings, right? So this is why I asked that question: is why and who you were as a little girl. You know, you did mention about athletics and
Mm.
sports and all of that. In your bio, if anybody would like to check out Nancy's full bio, go check out Mrs.'s Facebook page. Um, you are a ballet dancer as well. So does that run in the family?
My mother actually took lessons. She was from California, and so from some pretty famous people, and as teachers, right? It's not
Yeah.
always teacher is equivalent to the type of dancer that you are, but she just had an overall athletic backbone. And dancing professionally is a hugely artistic pursuit. Not only mentally and physically, but also working with people, working with different communities, working with directors. It's such an ecosystem, right? So there's the front of the house, there's back of the house, there's lighting, there's design, there's costuming. I mean, the list is endless. So while you may be that one person standing on that stage, there's 100+ people around you supporting you, that you are that one person, right? So I remember when I was at school, at college, and I had an incredible teacher, Melissa Hayden. She was a principal dancer of New York City Ballet, and she just retired. And Melissa always said, Nancy, I'm the principal. I'm the person that people come to see, but make no mistake about it, I am here because of all those people behind me, right? And so she got this, and she imparted such wisdom on us in terms of, you know, musicians and ushers and just the cleaning staff, the secretarial staff, the marketing people. I mean, the list, I could go on the whole podcast and tell you how many, the philanthropers, the board, so many people are around what companies are able to put on. So it was a great training ground for being an artist. And a lot of those disciplines, Liz, not knowing at the time, certainly I was, tunnel vision to these productions, but really there's a distinction, being able to take those disciplines from the art world into the business world. And I still dance today. I think it's has incredible opportunity at any decade to improve oneself. Yeah.
I love that you're still dancing, right? It encourages the older generation to stay active, stay involved in the things that you've done as a younger person, and I love that you mentioned all the team, because we need team building. There's so much that people do not see. All the people that are in the background, like you said, like your dad with CBS, there's so many people, the production team, the cameraman, the janitor even, let's thank everybody for bringing something good together. Because without a clean studio, you can't have a good show, right? So you have to give grace and thanks and appreciation to the whole staff, not just the big ones. We got to look at everyone as individuals and as human beings and say thank you for being a part and teaching me the lesson. And I think a lot of gratefulness, we need to really be grateful for everyone that has been a part of our life, whether it's small or big, So what got you into retirement, Nancy?
When I retired.
Well, that's a good answer. I like that answer.
So I had exited Korn Ferry as a partner, and I built my own company, and it was very successful and retained executive search. That's what I did for about almost 15 years, not quite, but almost 15 years. And I was really wondering and questioning if I could continue this pace, because it's pedal to the metal. And because I ran the business, I was 24/7. And while I loved it, and while I had wonderful clients and I had wonderful candidates and I loved what I did, and I was really good at what I did, I think really because of the dancing, it was a differentiator in terms of skill sets that I was really able to ferret out from people, this is a yes, this is a not so much. I was very lucky that way. But I felt I really questioned in my mind, could I sustain this pace? And the answer at the end of the day was no. But my problem was, well, then how do I get off this gerbil wheel, if you will? How do I do that? No clue. They don't train you for this, right? So does it mean I sell the company? Does it mean, what do I do with the company? And then how do I get out? And I want it clean, not messy, right? And then what do I do, right? So this is really what propelled me, my own journey. And I'm sure you talk to hundreds and hundreds of people monthly, and that's the entrepreneur's mystery, right? It's usually that which they struggle comes forth in some new creation where they see a market void. So that's for me, and particularly not only retirement, Liz, but retirement with health and with the science-based. I was always very interested in science and technology, and we have this opportunity since COVID to really use what's commercially available for us to help ourselves, particularly not only medically, but from the point of view of functional medicine, which is where I reside, and more of the lifestyle, rather than when people hear that word retirement, we think about, oh, wow, I got to start saving my pennies, which is valid, but that's the financial side. And that's not what I do. I do more the lifestyle piece of it.
So do you want to get more into that, Nancy?
Sure. So I work with business experts and moving them from a career into transforming them to healthy retirement and to get on that pathway. The word retirement is globally hated. I've had clients even say to me, don't even use that word. The good news here is that retirement is hybrid. You define it. So it doesn't mean that you're stopping work. It doesn't. Look, I've created another company, right? This is my third company that I've created. So this is a legacy company that I've created. But you can do anything, right? Philanthropy, work on climate change. You can work for other nonprofit institutions. You could work in the arts. You can do whatever you're only limited by what you can dream up, right? Yeah. That's the limit, right? So that's I feel that it's such a different point of view, and I'm really out there with people like yourself to really disrupt how we think about retirement, because there are no limits. It's limitless. And so I talk about expansion, because the first part of our life really is about schooling, right? And about getting degrees or technical degrees or expertise. Middle of our life is very much about work, but that's decades of work, whether you're in the same company, whether you're in multiple companies, whether you stay in the same company, whether you're recruited out, like what I used to do, pull people out and get them, a bigger, better role or something more of interest. Maybe they're just slogging it out, but they're not really that interested, but this other company really has opportunity. And then finally, when you hit that threshold, which is where I was at, was to say, okay. And when I was doing retained search, my head was down. My vision was very narrow. I knew global retained executive search. I knew that. If you were in a competing company, I would know you. I would know all your candidates. You and I would know each other, right? But I'm still in that lane. I'm still in that retained executive search. And so it's all of a sudden, it's like a tree coming out of the earth that, you're just growing out of the earth and you're expanding, and you can go any which way on any path that you want to. And that's the hope that I want to give people, and that you really have to, as I talk about in my presentations, you really need to start envisioning, because for you, if and when you decide you want to retire, it's about what you want to do. And it's all around you. And we don't talk about this. We talk about save your pennies, but it's about you, and how you define it and what matters most for you. Now, you and I may have similarities, but this is your journey, and it's constantly evolving, right? It's not, well, okay, Liz, I've decided to do this, and this is the only thing I'm going to do. Right? It's constantly growing, and that's the beautiful thing. Yeah.
I really like that you brought up a few of good topics in that answer, Nancy. You brought up the stigma on retirement, the word retirement. Retirement does have a heavy stigma on it because people think it's the end of life, right? Oh, nursing home, we're not moving, save our pennies. And that's why in the 1-minute video, you see a lot of saving your pennies and the time, the clock, and because that's what, when you put it out there, that's how it's defined. That's how people are giving the definition of retirement, is save your pennies. And I'm so glad that you're here saying, no, that's not what it's about. Let's get healthy. Let's start opening a mind. This is your third business. You're retired. Dreams don't stop just because you retire. Let's keep us healthy. Keep that mind open. I'm really glad that you're here today, because for all the listeners out there, you could start a business at the age of 80. Don't let anybody stop you from living your life. And that's what Nancy does, is she gives you that envision of enjoying your life. Where do you want to take your life? And each story is different, like you said, Nancy. Like one person might want to do this, the next person might want to do that. We really got to start encouraging people to live and create. People are getting so stuck in the stigmas, so stuck in what society has programmed to believe retirement to be, So I want to get a little deeper in with you, Nancy. When you hear the word retirement, when you first heard it yourself, how did you look at it?
Well, so it's so easy to fall into the trap of, just as you've said, to think, well, society tells me I should think this way, and so therefore I'm going with it. However, I just balked at that. I just said, that's not going to be me. But my problem was, well, then what? Well, then what? What am I going to do after retirement? And I tried multiple avenues of volunteering or trying different paths that I thought would be interesting. And we know from science that failure is awesome because it's one of the biggest teachers.
Right.
And
don't be scared of failing. I tell this to my kids all the time. It's okay to fail. They're like, "But Mommy, I want to." No, don't be perfect, because when you're perfect, you have a closed mind. You have no room for growth. Your branches are all stuck. Like, fail. I'm not going to love you any less if you fail. Like, I'm going to love you even more, I think.
But that thinking, Liz, is only new on the tarmac right now. Failure was always thought, well, he's a failure, right? Or she's a failure, right? But now it's really more universally embraced. Okay, well, in fact, I just read a Instagram post by Bloomberg, the guy who was the New York City mayor. And he went on to build this major institution called Bloomberg News. And he said at the age of 39, and I'm quoting the Instagram post, he said, I knew that I would be fired in 3 months, whatever the situation. I think they had a merger or something like that. And so on the morning of his being fired, he started to develop plans, which became this huge institution. And today, as you know, he's a huge supporter of so many for-profit, non-for-profit, advocacy global leader, right? So even Bloomberg, even the biggest people that you can possibly think of that are, basically the untouchables, have had that I think it gives you acceleration, right? So when you fail, it's like you're slamming into a wall, you kind of fall, you fall apart, or at least that's my experience. And then you're like, okay, well, that was interesting. Not really. Let's go figure out how to get around this, right? How we should navigate all of that. So that's one piece. But the other piece that I think is really important for you and your listeners is my health was really not good. All right. So I spent decades with no sleep. Probably, I thought I was really good because of the dancing of good eating, but I think that I could have improved that much earlier, but I didn't, in terms of nutritional content and those types of things that we're just learning about now. So now we can, right? So that's excellent. And also, I think sleep just wasn't on the radar, how important sleep is critically for the mind, decision making, etc. But power to be able to implement all these changes that are occurring during this incredible transformation from what you were, right, that career, etc. And I'm categorizing career universally. You are that mom. That's a career. Okay. Sorry. But that's like an incredibly important career, probably more important than CEOs, right? You're responsible for another human. Holy moly. Right. I could never do that, but incredible. Right. So I think that the combination of looking at yourself and developing this new identity and then combining that with the importance of health and all these systems, Liz, as you know, are interwoven. And if you move a little something, this other little something's going to move, so there's an ebb and flow of that. And it takes time, right? You don't just arrive, just like you don't just build a company in a moment. It's a process, right? And it's about getting up every day and setting achievable goals. But that goal line, because of longevity, right, that we are now living much, much longer. I always say, what can I implement today for my tomorrow, right? Long time down the road. Yeah. So important, right?
Yeah. And I think you're bringing up some really good topics, Nancy, is sleep, right? The importance of sleep. We're so driven. We're so like, we got to go. And we're so full of information these days, that the mind and the brain has just said, you know what, we're on overload. We cannot take no more, slow it down, and that's why I like to do these long episodes on Teatime, because we need to slow down to understand. If we just have it, and I'm going to give you 15 minutes of hard Envision Healthy Retirement, you're going to be like, whoa, so here you get a chance to understand and get details and the opening of understanding the branches that are created with the Envision, because everybody's vision is different. Everybody's perspective is different, and everybody's retirement is going to be different, but we really got to stop listening to the programming and the society and the stigma on things. We got to change it. We got to be able to say, you know what, that doesn't work for me. Just like that's why I asked you how you felt when you heard the word retirement. You're like, this is not, and look you're on your third business. Like, it doesn't mean that your life is over. It just means that things are going to go a little slower. You're not going to do as much, but you're still going to have that impact in life. And that's what I feel you're doing with your business, is you're slowing people down to look at the vision of where they want to take themselves.
Yeah. And I don't know if I would agree with, if I could, we do need to slow down, but I think the pace, yes, we have to slow down to have clarity and an intention. Absolutely. And to have continual clarity and intention. There's each, I'm on, what am I on? Like a year and a half into this business now. And each sort of inflection point, I've had to slow down, look at everything so that I can speed up again, right? So I think that we don't know how to slow down. I'm here nearby New York. It's a city that's known for go, 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 go. The city of lights, the city that never turns off. I loved it. I go there all the time. And I love the fact that you can get Chinese food at 3 o'clock in the morning. I love the fact that there's ballet concerts till 11 o'clock at night. You know, I love that lifestyle, but I also have to honor my sleep, right? So that I can be that productive individual. And as you suggested, to really impact others, to be able to have their own way of being.
Yeah. Yeah. I find society has just gone, it's almost like they have our foot on the gas pedal, right? And we're just like, and it's too much for some of us. It actually mentally breaks us because we're too much on that constant speed trip, you know, of rushing and getting it done. And then we're hard on ourselves because we're so fast that we're not seeing ways that we can slow it down and make it maybe stronger, you know, feed that tree a little bit more. Instead, we're just like constant straight ahead, you know,
Yeah.
where people nowadays are not accepting failures. They're looking at it as, oh my God, my life is over. No, it's not. You fell, you cried. I know when I fall, I cry. I'm a big old mess, but I get back up and I say, you know what? Where's this taking me? What is this teaching me? You know? So how did you implement the healthy part in your business?
So it's all science-based. And I implemented it because I needed it myself. And I was that crazy person that you just talked about. So I was go, 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 go. I ran the partnership, the business during the day, the evening, the night, the weekends. But I also had in my personal life a lot of things going on. So and I'm just recently talking about this. I had several power of attorneys dealing with people who were, and very, very honored to care for people, very, very honored, but with that comes a tremendous amount of responsibility. And some were easier than others, and I'm just going to put it that way. And so that's very time consuming. Yes. And also when you experience that and that you have that responsibility for that human, that's full. It's full out energy, right? It is full out. It doesn't matter if the hospital calls at 2 a.m. in the morning, you have to go there or be there or whatever the situation may be. And you're always thinking, and what would this person be telling me they would want? And you know, you want the best for that person more than the best, right? So when you do that for a couple decades in various individuals, and then you have this, level of responsibility and leadership, I was so burnt out. I had no idea that I was burnt out. Honestly, I had no idea. Oh, well, I feel this way because this is just the way I feel, but that's not correct. I found out, right? So it's finding all these tools that we can use and different modalities that we can use to be able to regulate the autonomic nervous system. And it's implementing and getting a tool belt. So in various different situations, you can tune in what you need so that you can get through the day, right? And, you know, I don't think there is a person alive, and maybe unless you live in a cave and you never come out, but that lives in society and is a functioning human that doesn't experience stress. And it's really at an all-time high. And it's affecting physically for people. It's affecting mentally for people. And we know here in the States, I know you're in Canada, Liz, but certainly I think you would concur that the U.S. Surgeon General has reported that stress is at an all-time high for every population base, right?
Yeah.
And also we have crises in terms of here in the States of metabolic unfitness, I'll call it, whereby the systems just are not working properly. And we need to allow that human to be functioning at top level performance. And so, how do we go back to society and teach people? In fact, my girlfriend works for a nonprofit, and I'm just not going to mention the name, but it's a big organization. And she told me that they are actually partnering with vendors in terms of this metabolic fitness, whereby they're going out into the communities and teaching people how to cook real food. Because we are so addicted to, now this is not what she said, but I'm interpreting,
Yep.
The sugars, the white flour, if you will, the gluten, all these things that we are now learning for most people, right? Most people, not
Yep.
everyone, but for most people, truly, we could upgrade our, I like to call it fuel, because I don't talk about diets, because everybody's on a different diet. And
yeah, there's so many different diets out there, right?
And also too, think about America, and also think about Canada and across the world. We're all multicultural now, right? So it has to fit into your environment and into your culture, what works. And so I talk about in any plan, if you will, that you are on, are you fueling your body with the best possible nutrient outcomes, right? Are you doing that? And I think if you're really honest with yourself, most of us would say, I could improve.
Oh, did I lose you for a second?
No, I'm here.
Oh, it went really quiet. I was like, whoa, okay. What happened there?
No, I'm here.
But I honestly, Nancy, I think it's the last 40 years, since fast food has come into our lives, right? We have all stopped eating unhealthy. It's quicker to go to a fast food place than to sit down and prep food. And a lot of us haven't been taught how to prep food or eat the healthy stuff. And I think it's really important that we start opening those avenues and doors and having cooking classes at home, like having a cook night with your family or your children and show them how, instead of, we're going to have a night out, takeout night. Let's have a family night of prepping food.
The take-in night, right?
The take-in night, right? Let's change it. Let's change the perspective of how we look at family time. I know for myself, I was never taught how. My grandma was the one that taught me how to eat healthy and the gardens and process and all that. My mom was more, let's go get a Big Mac or let's go get a deep fried chicken or something. It was the fast, easy way. Let's just go out and I don't have to cook. I don't have to clean. Boom, dinner's done, right? And then you grow up and it's generation after generation that just follows that pattern until you say, you know what? Whoa, this doesn't work for me. Let's change this. Let's change that branch, And I love how you talk about the tree and growing and the branches, because there's so many different branches out there. You can go left, you can go right, you can go straight, you can go back, there's so many different angles on how we look at life. And I think that's how, when I was studying my guests and studying you, Nancy, I was seeing that retirement really had a heavy stigma on it that I was not aware of. And as I was making the video, I was looking for retirement happy images, and all I kept getting was this clock and this money, like
horrible
save your money,
yes.
But you can do so much without money. Like you could just, manage your time better, instead of watching 1 hour TV, maybe read for 1 hour or take a walk for 1 hour. It's time management and all of that. I really love that you have created this business as
Thank
a
you.
retired person, because it gives hopes to the people out there that are retiring. You can create a business too. You can do this too, and it's not overnight. It's a lot of work. So the credit of building a business as a retiree, I my hats are off to you, Nancy. Like, thank you so much for doing this.
No, thank you for sharing what I know on this podcast. But I want to go back to what you were talking. Oh,
Oh, go ahead. No, I think we're having some glitches. I think
okay.
Good old technology, right?
Yes. Well, it's still working. I want to go circle back to what you said about having nights in and cooking, and even comparing now my life as a young child, because you started this podcast as a young child, and my mother was extremely careful. She came from California, so they always had fresh this, fresh that. And then she moved to the East Coast, and she's like, I don't get this. Why aren't we going to a farm? This kind of thing. And I felt absolutely isolated, saying, oh, all my friends get Hostess Twinkies and this and that and powdered this and blah, blah, blah. And I have to sit down to whatever it was, which was all homemade. And yet she was working with, excuse me, the best possible products, right, from a farm that I would go down and pick. So I knew they were fresh. They came from the earth. But also she's using products that we think are safe, are good. But now today we know we have something better. So I want to encourage everyone who's listening that there's always an opportunity to improve. Just because you've done something for the past 5 years doesn't mean that we're going to continue for the next 5. To constantly be assessing, is this the best in terms of nutrients, in terms of tools, in terms of protocols, in terms of how you live your life, right? And why you live your life. It's always, I always like to say that my generation is the questioning generation, because we've lived for so long, and we have a bit of wisdom and intuition, and to question, is this the right thing for me or not? And that will serve you as you move forward in time.
Absolutely. I want to get into your tea, Nancy. So if I ask you what your tea is, what 3 words would you give me today?
Fortunately, you gave me the heads up, because I can tell you. I will share that it's definitely about transformation. And we are in any stage of life, we're transforming. We're not the same person we woke up today to tomorrow. It's just, and that's the beauty of being a human. I really believe in that. The E is experts. I work with business experts who are in and around retirement, or really those potentially who have been laid off, because as you know, we've had a lot of repositioning of companies over the last couple months, more than couple months, or those that have taken early retirement packages. And that's just the way of the markets. It's just the way it works. And the A is definitely action. Taking action, I think, can really serve you well. And you can always course correct on all of these, the transform, the experts, and the action. There's always room for course correct. And that's awesome. We can change our mind. We can have a different protocol, a different tool, a different belief system, right? So we can constantly, we don't want to be schizophrenic about it, but there's always an opportunity to make things, what shall we say, current, current of the thinking. What is the best information that I can have, right? And I think COVID really started this with a lot of the YouTubes, with all the global particularly health and wellness influencers, business experts, all of those types of extraordinary humans that I don't think as a common person that I would have access to, right? Because these are really top thinkers of the world. And here we have availability and access. So, what a gift from the heavens,
Yeah. I honestly agree with that as well. With COVID, it brought us closer together. People say that it brought us further apart, but for some things, it brought us closer. It brought us to services that we would have never been able to have before had it not been for us all being isolated and closed in. We had to look for resources and how to stay mentally strong and how to stay connected to society. And we got these amazing podcasts and YouTubers and gamers all to connect through the virtual lands, like today, I'm in Canada and Nancy's in the United States.
Right.
Like we would have never had those options had we not been directed into that door, open that door. It wasn't all negative. There was some positive, and a lot of people had to pivot their businesses. People that were doing community events, like myself, I was doing community events and I had to turn it virtual because of we had to stay at home. So
Right.
how do we keep going? We just figure it out. You fall, you get back up, and you keep moving. Nancy, I asked you to give me one word to describe yourself as an individual, and you gave me the word strong. So why did you give me that word strong?
Because I've had a lot of walls put in front of me, and I think you just have to keep going and push them down. If that doesn't work, you go under, or you go to the side, or you go over it. So I think one of my CEO's mother, who was at the age of, let me see, what was she? About 86, I would say. And I was probably maybe in my 40s. That I would say that's about right, plus or minus. I don't really recall exactly the dates, but what she said was that getting older, or as we're now on our longevity path, is not for the weak of mind.
Oh, I like that.
Wisdom.
I love that we were talking about the mind, because that's where I went with my 3 guests this week, is the mind, the mindset. And this morning we were talking with Robin in the UK, and he was stating that, we need to start questioning things. We need to understand the science of the brain and the mind, and here you are talking about retirement, but you're talking about the science of the mind again, so it's the perspectives of how we see things and topics, how we see things. This morning we talked about hypnosis. Today, this afternoon, we're talking about retirement, but we're still talking about the mind, and we're still talking about the science of questioning. Ask those questions, if something is too good to be true, ask a question. That's a good time to ask a question. I just love how my guests every week, they just flow together. Everything just aligns together. And as you were sharing, Nancy, I was like, oh, this is the same as what Robin was saying this morning. Now, Nancy's...
we had a call before. You just didn't know it.
All my guests are secretly... And you guys are all scheduled at different times, but it always aligns that all 3 of my guests for that week just connect together.
Wow,
your message,
that's very cool.
Always aligns. It just blows me away sometimes. And I'm sure my viewers are like, how does she do that, Miss Liz? That's all the universe. I'm just leaving it in the universe's hands. I just plant the seed and I just water it. So, Nancy, I want to get into your message for people to use your services, and who are you targeting for your services?
Right. So thank you for that question. That's a great question. So in designing this company and doing a lot of the market research and thinking about myself in terms of my transition, those that are operating really have no time. They have no time for anything but the business, truly. Their families get left behind. The partners get left behind. We have all sorts of statistics around all of that. Their children, their relationships, other than business, right? Yep. So they're very, very busy. So when I am engaged working with clients, there is a definitive exit date. Now, it could be designed by the client, right? Like, thank you, Miss Liz, I'm going to be leaving the company in January. Or there may be a merger. And so this person knows he or she is not on the right side, but it is imminent. Or it's predicated by the SEC requirements, which is if you're at X age or company, each company has their own rulings as well. They know. So usually in a term of about 6 months, they're getting a feeling for, we know. And for instance, one of my last clients, he said, I knew I would be out. He wasn't sure if he would be out this year or the following year. I've just spoken to another client. He said, I think I will have capacity next month. So perfect. He knows he's overwhelmed. Similar with another woman that I've spoken to. Wow, I've got so much on the plate. So we want people who will take action and really do the work, because it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, right? So those individuals who value their life, those who value their health, and those who truly, as you said, want to make an impact, be it their family, be it their community, be it some very fancy global opportunity where they have that expertise and where they can contribute to the growth of that profit or nonprofit company.
So, Nancy, so the target audience that you're looking for, for your businesses, are they retired already, or are they going into retirement?
They're going into retirement. However, there are many people who just think, I'm going to cross over. They retire, and then they're not very happy, or they're disappointed, or they're in a little bit of trouble, right? So I work with both. Potentially they were laid off, right? We have a lot of layoffs here in the US, right? Or perhaps they've taken an early package. That's very common here in the States, is taking an early package. So they can fall into multiple buckets. Yeah.
And Nancy, I found on your website that you have a 12-week program for placement. What's that for?
I have a 12-week program that's a proprietary system that's science-based, and it's one-on-one coaching.
Okay.
And so I work through the pillars of personal growth. I work through what are we going to do with our time, which is very, very key to scheduling life, if you will. Really the joining of the mind, body, and soul, right? Now is the time to join all of this. I do work with non-financial finance, not the finance piece, but non-financial, and also building those relationships. We know that from a science point of view, loneliness is a huge an epidemic crisis across the world right now. And that's sort of popped up during COVID, but it's particularly relevant to those in this time period and or are more elders for a variety of different reasons. And then certainly play, curiosity and play. That's what I do. And so thank you for asking that. I have another program that is on demand that we talk about you planning. So we talked about this at the front of the interview, where it's self-paced, and I have 3 modules, and it's at the end of my first page. And so yeah, those are the 2 programs that I am currently running. So thank you for the question.
Oh, not a problem. So just a couple more minutes here. We're almost at the end. What message do you have for anyone out there who would like to envision a healthy retirement?
What I would say is, let's get going. Let's take some action. Time is pressing. Time is a non-renewable resource. And to really value yourself and to listen to yourself And don't be swayed by people around you or what society thinks, but really honor yourself. And I think that this is a big message that I want to put out into the Ms. Liz T platform, is really honoring yourself, because this is a moment, as I talked about this transformation model, that really is very, very expansive. And so I've gone places I never imagined that I would go. And many of my clients, the same thing, because you don't know. We're so tunnel visioned, right? So to be very expansive in the broadest sense, and that there is hope, and that really this is an opportunity to live and work, live and partially work. I mean, you define it. Live and write a book, live and be a philanthropist, whatever it is, but you're really living your true self. And that's, honoring your being and why you're here to make those impact statements, as you beautifully suggested. So yes, it's all about you in retirement.
So Nancy, if anybody would like to get a hold of you, how can they reach you?
So I think my website, Liz, is the easiest place. So it's Envision with an E, ENVISION, healthyretirement.com. And on that website, you can schedule a complimentary call, which I want to offer to the Miss Liz audience, which is a $500 value, where we really talk about, where you are now and where you want to go. So to sort of pace it out and look to see how we can improve that quality of that person's life. And I also have a free sleep magnet. We touched upon sleep, but it's so important. It's a pivotal skill set that somehow along the way we just forgot how to do it, and we got to bring it back into our lives.
So Nancy, I'm going to get you to say the website again, because we kind of got a glitch, just so that everyone who's listening can hear it again. So everything else came in nice and clear, but the website, you got to the EN and then it went quiet for about 2 seconds.
Okay, well, I will try it again. So thank you for the 2X time. So it's Envision with an E. So it's ENVISION, and then healthy with a Y, retirement.com. So envisionhealthyretirement.com. And on there, you can schedule a complimentary call. You can download a complimentary information about the sleep magnet that you can learn all about, which is so pivotal. And then I have either my 12-week course or this on-demand program, which you'll see readily on the first page.
Awesome. And it was a real pleasure having you today, sharing, and just breaking down the barriers and the stigma on retirement. I really want to thank you for creating this amazing organization. And, we really need to start pivoting and doing different things, different perspectives, and just getting out there and pushing our branches and growing, So I want to thank you again, Nancy, for being a guest and sharing all your incredible work and your incredible life story, from the little girl to the older lady to, we really don't know how much our past really impacts our present and our future until we start actually looking at the little nuggets and saying, oh, that's where I got that from. Oh, that's where that seed came from. So let's just keep planting the nuggets from the past in a good, positive way. And let's envision healthy retirement and making a difference in the world. So I will see everybody this evening. We're already done the afternoon show. This evening at 7 p.m. with Zachary Hagman. He'll be returning from season 3, and he wrote a book series on fantasy. So we're going to talk about some dragons and castles and all that good stuff. And he's also an educator. So he's a teacher. So we're doing a lot of teaching today on Teatime with Miss Liz. So, and if you'd like to know more about Miss Liz, check out my website at www.misslizsteatime.com and check out the YouTube channel. Give it a quick subscribe and you'll be notified every time there's a live Teatime. And thank you so much for being an amazing guest. And to all the viewers and supporters out there, I cannot do it without you. So I want to thank all of you guys. I really, truly appreciate you from the bottom of my heart. And we will make a difference one cup of tea at a time when we serve our TEA to the world. Just be you, be different, and let's shine, and let's make a difference together. Until then, I will see everybody at 7 p.m.
Thank you, Liz. Thank you, everyone.